Hello. All right. So this is the first time that I am going live like this, and I am not sure how it's going to go, but we're going to go with it. So if no one hops on right now, I'm excited to hear what you think and what you watch later on. If you don't know me, I'm Meredith from artsandclassy.com. I started my blog back in 2012, in April of 2012, and I started it with the intention of decorating my rental on a budget because I was spending a lot for rent, and I wanted to make sure that I didn't want to have roommates. So I was making sure that I had, unique, cool decor that didn't cost me very much. So that's a little bit about me. I would love to answer any questions you may have. So feel free to drop them in the chat. But today I really wanted to focus on answering questions that I get a lot and to share a little bit about my process when it comes to either rental decorating and or flipping furniture. Essentially, I get a lot of questions about that. That's something that I did not know what I had no idea what I was doing when I first started. But, like DIY, it's kind of a trial and error process. You're learning as you go. So, yeah, I wanted to go ahead and share some things. So, since it doesn't look like anyone's on yet, I'm going to go ahead and dive into it. But first, I'm going to encourage you while you're watching this, you're enjoying yourself, go grab yourself something to drink, whether that's a hot tea or it's some lemonade or perhaps a glass of wine. It is Sunday and it is 5 o'clock, so I think it's officially okay for me to be consuming a glass of wine. Hello, thanks for joining me. I see that I have someone on live with me. Awesome. So feel free to drop any questions you may have in the chat. I'm going to go ahead and dive into some information that I wanted to share with regards to furniture flipping. We'll start there and then we'll start with some renter decorating tips. So my favorite price to pay for any furniture that I'm flipping is free. That is number one. That obviously increases your ability to profit from this venue. If you're trying to develop a side hustle, which I do have a post, I can drop it in the description once this video is live, to a post that I have that's all about turning furniture flipping into a side hustle. So when you find things for free, when I used to live in Los Angeles, I would see furniture on the side of the road all the time. Obviously, it depends on where you live. Now I live in Denver and I don't really see that so often. So for me, just depending on the area, you have a few different options on where you can find your furniture that you're going to flip. Number one is, as I said, on the side of the road. Believe it or not, some of my best finds that I have found over the years have been from the side of the road, and I've been able to give them some new life, and they've gone to new homes where they're going to be loved and adored. So that always brings me so much joy. Another one was actually doing posts on Facebook or Instagram. Facebook, I've had the most success with, where I basically just shared what I was looking for and asked my friends or family if they had any furniture they were looking to get rid of. So that was a really helpful tip, especially in the early days of Arts and Classy, where I was really successful with finding furniture projects, so I didn't have to spend any money out of pocket. So if you're just getting started, that's an option for you. So don't discount that. People are looking to get rid of furniture and get rid of things all the time, especially if someone's sharing that they're moving soon, or let's say they are redecorating their home and they're getting new stuff in. They want to get rid of the old stuff. So if you're willing to go and haul it away for them, you're going to be like their best friend. So it's something that you're doing them a favor, and it also in turn helps you out. Another thing I was going to share is yard sales, garage sales, estate sales. Those are awesome options to find different furniture projects that maybe you could use to turn into your next furniture flip for you to sell. And then any sort of thrift store, like Salvation Army is a great option. I only have a Goodwill next to me, so that's been my main source recently for a lot of my furniture flips. I know there are a lot of mixed feelings about Goodwill, but for me, I'm all about convenience. So for me, that works the best for me. The next thing I would say would be Facebook Marketplace. That's also been a really helpful source for me to find furniture that I want to flip. And usually you can haggle a little bit, especially if the owner is desperate to get rid of things. Sometimes you'll even find stuff on there for free. So, and they may even just do like a curb alert, and then you can see if it's still available, and then you can go lug it from there. So, and the last one I was going to say that's actually been a really helpful resource is the Nextdoor app. So if you don't have the Nextdoor app, I highly recommend it. Not only are you going to find furniture listed there, but you're going to find stuff that's near you. So if you don't want to drive across town into another city, it's a really great resource for you there. So if anyone has any questions, I know I have a few of you on here live with me, so thank you so much for joining. If you have questions, please drop them in the chat. I do have the slow chat function on at the moment, so if I don't see it immediately, that's probably why. Now I want to dive into the types of pieces of furniture that I recommend starting on. I know we might have these grandiose ideas of like, oh, I'm going to flip a dresser, or I'm going to flip a headboard, or something like that. If you have the space to store it, then more power to you. But from my experience flipping furniture since 2012, it's 2021 now, so it's almost been 10 years, which is insane. Time flies. These are the items that I typically recommend starting with, just because they tend to sell quicker than other things. So wood accent chairs, side tables, nightstands, small cabinets, ottomans, coffee tables, desks, and console tables. Those are what I would typically recommend if you don't have a truck or something to lug the furniture in. If you have an SUV that you can put the seats down, obviously that's a great option for you as well. I'm always amazed I used to have a Mazda 3, and I was always amazed at how much stuff I could fit in there. So, you don't necessarily need to have a pickup truck, but for these items, you should be able to fit them in even a small car. And like I said, in my experience, buyers are looking to buy smaller pieces because not everyone has a truck. So it comes back to that vehicle and that ability to transport it. So if you want to purchase something that's not only going to take less time for you, and it will also sell a lot quicker, I recommend those options. I have flipped dressers in the past, but I will say they don't typically sell as quickly. So if you're okay storing it and keeping it for a while, then that's fine. I did have a lot of success selling dressers on a website called Cherish. It's spelled CHAIRISH. And if it's over a certain size, like a dresser, they actually have a white glove moving service that they will charge to the buyer. And they also have a local pickup option. But if someone wants to purchase your piece, then they'll send movers to come take it away for you and package it up and ship it for you. So it makes it a lot easier. Now, I wanted to get into maybe some basic supplies that you may want to have on hand. And feel free to jot this down. I will also include it in the description after this live. So if you want to come back and look at it, you'll have the ability to go back and take notes if you need to. And like I said, a lot of this is also on my website. So the blog post about creating a side hustle, flipping furniture, it's all listed there as well. So plenty of chalk paint. I know that there are some more natural wood trends happening. So that's also an option, and that might make your life a little easier when it comes to just maybe stripping paint from any projects. But you also want to think about, how can I make this unique? How can I make this something that no one else will have? And that's kind of what drives a lot of my projects. And because I'm an artist, my furniture ends up becoming like an extension of me. It becomes an extension of my art. It becomes very creative. It's a very creative process, and I really love it. So painting furniture is a passion of mine. I feel like it's still something that is very popular. A lot of people love, and especially, if they're decorating a room or an office or a kid's room, you'll have that ability to sell the furniture pieces to people that are looking for something unique and cute and stenciled or whatever. So make sure you have chalk paint, not to be confused with chalkboard paint. Chalk paint is a really awesome paint that has a little bit more thickness to it and a little more grit. So you don't necessarily need to sand the piece down before you paint it. It also dries very quickly, which I love because I hate waiting for paint to dry. And it's typically reasonably priced. I've bounced around with different brands. stains. I've tried Annie Sloan, which is a little more on the high end side. I've also done Deco Art's chalky finish paint, which is also really great. I also really love Rust-Oleum's chalky finish paint, which is awesome. Another thing is milk paint. That's one that I've been experimenting with more recently, and it's just, I really like how it applies, and it tends to be a little more durable based on my experience. Another brand that reached out to me that I didn't know anything about that I actually really love now, it's called Retique, and it's a liquid wood paint. So when you paint it on, it becomes like a wood finish, and then you can stain it. So you don't necessarily, if you don't have a power sander, or if you don't have the space to do any sort of sanding, like heavy duty sanding, this is a great opportunity for you to get that wood finish or that farmhouse finish, or even if you wanted to stain an entire piece of furniture, you just need a paintbrush and a sponge brush to add the stain later. And they come with these fun wood graining tools, so you can kind of do a faux wood grain finish. So you can paint anything from glass to plastic to particle board to actual wood. Most surfaces will actually take the piece, which is awesome, or take the paint, which is pretty cool. I started using it and I really loved it. And it comes with this wood gel stain that I really like, as opposed to normal stains like varathane stains, which typically are oil-based. So they tend to stick to everything. And if you get it on your clothes, Lord help you if you get it on your clothes, because it's probably going to stick forever. So I recommend this gel stain that Retique makes that I really love. And I think it's a water-based, so it's pretty nice. Paint brushes, making sure you have large angled furniture, wax brushes, artist brushes, furniture stencils. You can find them on Amazon. Deco Art also has some. Cutting Edge Stencils is another one I've worked with, and Royal Design Studio is another one that I really love. A small stencil foam roller is another really helpful tool to have. Small stencil foam rollers, like I said, in 4-inch or 2-inch. Paint trays. You can even just use plastic trays that you use for like microwave dinners. You can save those, or maybe even the foam containers that like chicken comes on. I've used those for my paint palettes before, and it's a great way to upcycle those that material so that you're not just throwing it away. A power sander is definitely something, if you have the ability to invest in, or if you have the space to do it, I recommend it. Just various sandpaper in different grades for hand sanding, for like finishing up projects. A sanding block is really helpful, and you can like wrap the sandpaper around it. Spray adhesive is a really helpful tool that I use pretty regularly. Scissors, obviously, paint stir sticks, stain blocker, spray paint in various colors. They also have chalky finish spray paint now, which is pretty cool. I really have loved playing around with that as well. Clear spray paint in a matte finish, or you can get a matte polyacrylic top coat, which Rust-Oleum makes as well. You can get it in a matte finish, or I usually get matte finishes, but you can get semi-gloss, gloss, just like you would any paint finish. All right, Mod Podge is something I use pretty regularly, especially if I'm like applying fabric or anything to a piece that I'm working on. It helps basically add a protective layer over it, and it also helps seal it to the piece. Fabric is really helpful. So if you ever find like discount fabric, or you can order it online, I highly recommend having fabric around to play with, especially if you're ever upholstering chairs. It's pretty handy to have. Foam brushes are helpful, power drill, an upholstery hand staple gun, a screwdriver, wood screws with a variety of lengths, painter's tape, C-clamps, various wood stains, like I said, staining sponge, work gloves, latex gloves, and needle nose pliers. Now, by no means do you need to have all of those things, but they are recommended if you are going to get serious about flipping furniture pretty regularly. But if you want to just ease into it, you can acquire things over time. Like I said, I didn't really have any money to do any of this when I first started. So it was a very trial and error situation. And it didn't do it overnight. You know what I mean? So let's talk about once you flipped the furniture. I like to log things in a spreadsheet. where when I purchase the item or if I find it, so I like to say to document how much I either invested in the piece or if I got it for free. And then from there, I like to log the hours I spend on the piece. I also like to log the supplies, if I purchase any supplies for it, how much I invested in it, because obviously that's going to take off of your profit. And then I like to write down how much I sell it for, how many days it took to sell. And then basically I have a formula in a spreadsheet that calculates basically what my hourly wage is based on how much it was that I spent on it, especially with the supplies, how long it took to sell, and how long it took me to work on it, so that I can kind of keep track of what that looks like. So I have been having a lot of success selling my pieces on Facebook Marketplace. The Nextdoor app is also one that I have a lot of success in. I've been hit or miss with Letgo. I feel like the Letgo app has not really impressed me very much with some of the things, but I think it just depends on the area you live in. I think when I was in Los Angeles, I had a lot more success with it. But since I've been in Denver, I don't really get any hits with that. Cherish, like I've said, when I was in Los Angeles, especially, I had a lot of success selling a lot of furniture that way. And Craigslist, believe it or not, is something that still has a little bit of traction. I would say there's probably not as much trust with Craigslist, but if you're looking to sell something for pretty cheap, or perhaps if you're just trying to find something for cheap, you might be able to have some success with Craigslist. Now, I would say that when you are writing your description for these, a brief story and description for the piece, be honest of the quality. So if there are any nicks, if there are any, parts of the furniture that have maybe any blemishes or anything, just make sure you include that so people know what they're signing up for. The dimensions, so the width, the length, the height, whether it's a pickup or you're willing to ship it, because I think you have the ability to do that now, or delivery if you charge a delivery fee. I always like to ask for the price, and then I'll put OBO next to it for or best offer, and then let them know what types of payments you accept. So Facebook Marketplace actually takes payments, so you're able to take payments through Facebook. You can also do Zelle, that connects to a lot of different banks. Venmo is one that I typically get a lot of people saying that they want to pay me with. Cash, obviously, but I feel like that's becoming less and less popular. And then PayPal, but I don't really enjoy taking PayPal payments because typically there's a fee attached to the transaction. So that's why I like Venmo so much. I always like to post a furniture piece to multiple platforms with the same description and all these different pictures. You do want to make sure that you are staging the piece of furniture that you have before you sell it, because you want to have those beautiful pictures so someone can imagine what that piece would look like in their home. So good lighting is important. If you have any decor that you can add to the furniture pieces to give it a little personality, you might want to use like a blank wall in your space, or maybe a decorative wall that looks really good with a lot of different styles. And then make sure you're taking pictures from all different angles, close-ups, far away, side shots, front shots, above shots, just making sure you're giving people a really in-depth look at the entire piece as a whole. And then once you start posting it, when you're posting to Facebook Marketplace, I would recommend joining a bunch of seller groups that are local to your area. So you can post the listing to multiple groups. And that will at least be able to market your furniture piece and give you more eyeballs quicker, especially people that are local that might be looking for stuff for their new home, or, a lot of people are moving right now. So a lot of people are going to want furniture for their space. And if they can find something really unique and cool that no one else is going to have, even better. You also want to make sure you're doing a little bit of research when you're listing of similar items and what they're being priced at. And I guarantee you, if you're taking really great photos and the quality of the work you're doing is awesome, people are going to pay for it. I just sold a side table yesterday, and a woman came to pick it up, and she's decorating her daughter's bedroom while her daughter is with her dad, and she's going to surprise her with it. So I always get to hear these really cool stories when people pick them up and how much they love them and how excited they are. And I get to kind of hear like the backstory of all of them, but I didn't have any issues selling it at the price that I had listed it at. And it sold, I would say, relatively quickly. And I felt really good about it. Now, I wanted to chat with you all about decorating tips for rentals. So I'll just give you kind of the highlights of some things that have worked for me in the past. One of the videos that's here on my channel is my bathroom makeover that I did a couple years ago when I lived in Los Angeles. And that was a lot of temporary wallpaper and contact paper. And I had a lot of success with it. And that video went insane on my channel. It's actually still my top performing video, which is pretty funny because I literally shot it with my iPhone. So it wasn't a full production. The production value wasn't the greatest, but you kind of got to see my process as I went through it. So that leads me to number one for rental decorating tips, contact paper. Contact paper is such a simple way to transform a space and give it a different look. And contact paper has gotten a lot better over the years. It's not flimsy. It can handle some moisture as long as you're making sure to apply it to a surface properly and you're making sure that the surface you're applying it to is real wood or a tile or something that's not going to peel off when you go to remove it, then you should be golden. And then one of the next things, as I said, is temporary wallpaper that kind of falls into that same category. Another thing that you can do to really transform a space is changing out the hardware, like on your cabinets, on your drawers, furniture pulls, things like that. That really can give a facelift to maybe a rental property. Contact paper could also be used for that, those cabinets as well. I've seen people do like the inlays of cabinets that are super dated with a fun contact paper, and it looked really, really good. The next thing I would say is peel and stick backsplash. So this is becoming something that's also really popular. You can find it at Home Depot. You can find it on Amazon. You can find it probably at Lowe's, Ace Hardware. It's the ability to add a fun, more contemporary backsplash to a bathroom or a kitchen without having to damage anything and to, give your kitchen maybe a little bit of a facelift. So it's super easy to apply. It looks really good when it's finished, and I highly recommend it. My next tip is area rugs. Those are so transformative in a space, and you can layer them. You can use different sizes. You could do, you can even do carpet tiles. So if you want to do something a little bit easier and something that you can switch around, carpet tiles are great. But I also found that when you're looking for area rugs online, they can be very expensive. I think Rugs USA is one I've ordered from several times, and you can find some stuff that's pretty inexpensive. I would also say that you can go to your local Ross or TJ Maxx or Home Goods, and you can find area rugs there for a little bit less. So I always say check those places out first. The rug that I currently have in my living room that was perfect for my space, I think I got for $75 from Ross. And it was, I think it's an 8x10 area rug, which is pretty good given that most area rugs are like $200 of that size. So I felt really good about it. And plus, when you're a renter, you don't need to really invest in something really that expensive, especially if you plan on moving regularly. But you can also find some on Amazon. They're also really, there are a variety of price points. So you can find some inexpensive ones as well. I also found a rug for my outdoor patio from Ross that was like $20. That was also an 8x10. It's definitely more of a plastic, but it's outdoors. So it can handle all sorts of weather. I don't have to worry about it getting stained. And it does add a little more elegance to my balcony. So another thing would be peel and stick flooring. So you're noticing it's a lot of peel and stick temporary improvements that you can make. And peel and stick flooring is one of those things as well. You can get it in wood grain. You can get it in tile. There's so many choices out there right now that cater to renters specifically. So you really have no excuse to not invest in and do something, especially if you plan on being somewhere for a long time. And I like to say that our space is a reflection of our personality, or at least it should be. And some of us don't even want to invest any effort or to make it look that way because we're like, oh, well, it's just a rental. I can't really do anything I want to do. But that's not the case anymore. I would say make sure to check with your landlord. That's always a good option. But as long as the landlord knows that it's something that's going to be reversible and they don't have to worry about it damaging the unit, then I would say that you're probably going to get a thumbs up to go ahead and do it. As I said, temporary wallpaper is another thing. And, just, making sure to if you have the opportunity to paint a wall, sometimes landlords are pretty open to that as long as you paint it back. Or, my landlord in LA, the last place we lived, he loved the walls that I painted, so he asked for me to leave them. So it worked out for me. But yeah, giving your space a little personality, even with just an accent wall. And you could do that with temporary wallpaper too. I like to start with Pinterest or Google, and I like to collect all of my ideas for my inspiration for each room on a Pinterest board that I usually set to private. And then from there, I like to start figuring out what my game plan is. And that usually means, what do I want for each wall? What do I want for, the decor? What existing decor do I have that I could maybe transform so it reflects this new style I want to use? So yeah, that's kind of what my process looks like, the planning portion of it. And then I get into the execution mode on how I can do it. Now, I will say I did get a lot of mixed reviews from that bathroom makeover. Some people were like horrified that I applied wallpaper to the lower half of the bathroom wall. Some people were very upset that I had baskets and my makeup hanging next to the toilet. I have a magnetic makeup board. It was hanging next to the toilet area, but that was the only place I could put it. And it was more for display. It wasn't really makeup I was actually using. So people had a lot of opinions, but I will say that not every space is going to be the same, and coming up with your own plan that works best for you, and working those creative juices. Like, those creative muscles that you have are like normal muscles that you have to constantly work to help them grow. And so think outside the box, do some research. I definitely encourage you to take to the internet and look for inspiration. There's so many resources out there at this point. And I just encourage you to try everything and don't be afraid of failing. It's something that happens to me. I have these DIY projects that I do sometime, and I think that the outcome is going to turn out one way, and then it goes another way. And I have moments where I'm very frustrated, but it's always a learning experience. And for some reason, it always ends up working out. So I hope that you all found this helpful, and I hope that you found this valuable to you. And if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat or in the description, the comments after this video is over. I've been on here now for almost 30 minutes, which is wild. I didn't think I was going to be on here for that long, but I had a lot to share. And if you want to hear, or for future lives, I'm hoping to do this more regularly. Hopefully, moving forward on Sundays, this will be a regular thing. If you have a topic that you want me to cover, or if you have a question, feel free to let me know, because I would love that information to help give you all things that you want. And now that I'm only working a full-time job and I'm not working multiple jobs, I am excited to have more time now to dedicate to being here and being more of a resource to anyone that's getting into the DIY game, or maybe perhaps going into furniture flipping regularly. So I hope you all have a wonderful Sunday. Cheers. I will see you all next Sunday, and I look forward to hearing back. All right, have a great one.